Hey Fit Fam, Nutrition Coach Justine here with you guys, coming to you from my home in Goderich. And today's nutrition video is all about bugs and eating more of them. So hopefully that piques your interest just a little bit. But what I mean by bugs is actually bacteria, and more specifically, the good bacteria. The bacteria that live in our guts that help to support our bodies to be healthy and very importantly, to help support healthy immune function. And guys, we actually have more bacterial cells in our bodies than human cells. So these play a huge role in supporting our overall health and well-being. And I'm excited to talk to you more about what they do today. So when we talk about healthy gut bugs, you may have heard two terms before, and those are probiotic and prebiotic. And I want to differentiate between the two because it's very important. So the probiotic is actually the good, healthy bacteria that lives down in our guts. So he is the actual bacteria cell. The prebiotic is the food source for the probiotic. So the prebiotics are the foods that the healthy bacteria need to be thriving off of. They need to have plenty of these things down in our guts to be eating so that they can live, thrive, and survive. And those things include healthy plant fibers from our fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. And we'll go into that a little bit more in a minute here. But why are these bacteria so important for immune health? What are they doing in our bodies? And there's a couple of really cool things that they are doing. So these healthy bacteria, many of them actually live down in our guts, in the intestinal lining. And there in that intestinal lining, they're excluding massive quantities of antibodies. And we talked to you guys a little bit about antibodies and white blood cells in the first video. But if you remember, antibodies are a little defender cells. They're the guys that are down there on the front lines defending against toxins and pathogens and keeping our bodies healthy. So they are excreting these antibodies out into our system, which are fighting off all of the potential infections and diseases and things that we come in contact with. The second thing that they're doing is they're helping to inhibit, stop, and block the harmful bacteria. So when we are eating, I want you guys to think about the way that we eat in a day. So we eat food, we drink, we touch things, and these things are not sterile. We don't eat sterile food. We don't sterilize things before we eat them or we drink them. So we come into contact with thousands of potentially harmful bacteria, toxins, and particles, and things all throughout our day. And these guys are living down in our guts and they're waiting. So when we eat some of these bacteria, something comes into our system, they're inhibiting these things, and they're killing them off. Some of these things, if they were to stay and live and grow in our bodies, would turn into illness and disease. So they're defending us, they're protecting us. So now we've talked about the probiotics, these key beneficial bacteria and why they are so important in our body. So we know that we want them, we know that we need them, and we know that we want to support the ones that we have so they can keep doing the important work that they're doing. So how do we do this? How can we do these things? How can we help them? How can we grow more of them? And we can do that through food. We can do that through what we're eating, what we're putting into our bodies to help grow the population of good bacteria that we have and support those good ones. So let's talk about the prebiotics a little bit more because we know this is the food source that those probiotics need. And the prebiotics can come from our healthy plant sources of fiber. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, sprouted grains. This is where that dietary fiber comes into play. We're eating those things and those little bacteria are down there chewing and munching on these things and getting the nutrition that they need. So we want to make sure that we're eating plenty of those things in our daily and our weekly diets. Another food that's very helpful in supporting our probiotics is actually our unsaturated fatty acids. So our plant oils like olive oils, avocado oils, nut oils, these support the health of the probiotics and they're very beneficial. I want to talk just a little bit about some foods and some of the things that we're eating that actually help. They help not in a good way. They actually help to harm our probiotics and those good bacteria. So we want to limit these things and have them in moderation if we can. So those are going to be our saturated fatty acids and our sugars. So these things actually promote inflammation in the body. And inflammation over time can be very, very damaging to our good gut bacteria in our stomachs. So we want to be careful of how much of those things we are eating and have those in moderation. So the next thing I want to talk about is the probiotic. How can we get more of them into our body? So more of the actual healthy bacteria. And there are really 5 main food groups or food sources that these things come from. And those are yogurts, sauerkraut, kefirs, kombucha, and kimchi, and all fermented dairy products and all fermented vegetables. There are other raw fermented vegetables and things that you can look at too, that you will get some of these good gut bacteria from. But really, those are the main places you can find them. And you can find those commonly in your grocery store, looking typically in the refrigerated aisle, because they are going to have bacteria and the good bacteria in them, and they need to stay refrigerated to stay alive. So we want to try to incorporate some of those foods into our diets weekly and daily to get more healthy probiotic into our body to support our immune systems. Now, let's talk a little bit about supplements, because I know maybe some of those foods I listed are not things that you like or things that you're commonly eating. And that's okay. We can get probiotics through a supplement form as well, which is very helpful. So a couple of things you want to look at when you're looking to buy a quality probiotic supplement is you want to look for live active cultures. So it should say on the bottle that there are live active cultures. It should be kept typically in the refrigerator, and those are where the higher quality probiotics are going to be, unless they have an engineered shelf-stable capsule, which some do. And the Garden of Life, the doctor formulated brand, is one that does that and that we really like and recommend. Something else you want to look for is colony forming units, and something between 15 and 100 billion. And guys, it'll say that right on the package. So all you have to do is flip it over and it'll tell you how many CFUs are in that probiotic. And you're looking for 15 to 100 billion in there. The other thing you're going to look at is the strains. So we want to look at something that has multiple strains in it. And the strains are the different colonies, the different types of bacteria. So we want plentiful and we want different kinds of these things. And typically, you're looking for somewhere between 10 to 30, and the same thing with the colony forming units. When you flip it over, it'll tell you right there on the back how many different strains are in there. So you're looking for 10 to 30. All right. And lastly, guys, with the supplements, and I say this about any supplement, vitamin D, multivitamin, whatever you're looking for, you want it to be the third-party tested. So you're looking for that little stamp of approval on there. I'll give you an example of a couple examples of this is NSF and GMP. So those are the labels that are used when those companies have come in and tested those supplements, and you can know that what the label is telling you is in that supplement is actually in that capsule that you're taking, because it has been third-party tested. So all right, guys, let's recap a little bit. So we talked about the probiotics, the actual good, beneficial, healthy gut bacteria that live down in our bodies that are supporting our health and well-being and our immune health. We talked about the prebiotic, so the food source to the probiotic, healthy sources of plant-based fiber, making sure we're including unsaturated fatty acids, plant oils, and eliminating our intake of saturated fatty acids and sugars to lower the inflammation. And lastly, we talked about food and how whole, real foods are truly the best place we can get our probiotics from. If needed, or if we don't have access to a lot of those foods, supplements are another wonderful place that you can get more of these probiotics into your body. All right, guys, so that is it for today's video. I'm excited for the next one that we are doing, and we have a lot of really cool information coming to you. So stay tuned.